Welcome back. Here with the crew. It's been a minute. Life has been lifing. We've got Austin here, newly married Austin. Congratulations. We got Christian, Elliott, and myself, and we are back live streaming on the Fantasy Football Rush Hour podcast. Why don't we just dive right into it? Christian, who is your big winner of fantasy football right now? And I want you to clear your throat and I want you to say it loud and
Say it
proud.
with your chest. Say it with your chest.
Say
All
what you
right.
said.
All right. I'm going to read this person's stat line.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if y'all can guess who it is. He's a receiver. He has 6 catches for 123 yards.
Uh-huh.
Let's see. He was targeted 9 times.
Yep.
Not fantasy wise, in terms of my league, he had 15.3 points. Lad McConkey.
Oh.
All right. So if you follow along, a couple weeks ago, Morin said that Lad McConkey was going to be a better pick than Amari Cooper. I said, absolutely not. And Warren was right. So I actually had, for this week, I had Lad McConkey in my flex spot. But just looking at his performance the last couple of weeks, he has really, really done well. Now it's interesting to start seeing how the Chargers are developing on offense. We know they can run the ball, but now seeing Quentin Johnson coming into the fold, we're now seeing Lat McConkey start taking a lot more of those targets. Great time of the year. I mean, great time of the year for the Chargers.
Yep.
They're putting everything together, but it's really cool to see how they're also bringing in some of these newer pieces. Say newer pieces. I know Quentin Johnson's been here, but last year, he wasn't really the best. But how he's turned things around. So yeah, I would say that is probably my winner of the week is Lad McConkey.
Well, and I'll say Herbert is starting to look like Justin Herbert. I mean, over the past, I mean, he's had issues the past 2 years with health and consistency. But if there's ever any coach to riz their quarterback up more aggressively than anyone in the world, it's Harbaugh. Like Harbaugh is
That's a
gonna,
good word.
yeah.
Riz, that's a good word. That's a
I
good
mean, I may be 40, but I'm going to use the word riz. But Harbaugh Harbaugh believes in his quarterbacks. I think if you guys were watching the game, they played a package of all the things Harbaugh has said about his quarterbacks, going back to like Andrew Luck at Stanford, saying like he's the greatest thing ever, and then Colin Kaepernick, like he's the greatest thing ever. JJ McCarthy, he's the greatest thing. So like he's consistent in terms of like he's had good quarterbacks and he's given the confidence, and Herbert's finally starting to look like Justin Herbert that we know he can be. And obviously, if Herbert's going to look like Herbert, McConkey was I mean, I guess as the white guy on the panel, the white wide receiver, the white wide receiver trope of like the slot Edelman, Amendola,
Cooper
Jim
Cup.
Rat, always going to be open in the slot. Like Lad McConkey's that guy. He was that at Georgia. He's that turning into that at the Chargers. So
Hey, his quarterback in college misses him.
Yeah,
yeah,
I was gonna say side note, the Carson Beck misses him and Brock Bowers. Alex said, how many points does CJ Stroud have? Alex, I think CJ has 8 points, if I'm not mistaken, depending on
He
your
had 6 last I saw.
yeah.
That was much earlier.
Um,
Stroud has 8.4.
yeah. Um,
we can go
Hey,
back
hey,
to
before we move on, I'll say this on Lat McConkey. So Elliott in our group text, one of the guys said, Christian, didn't you say that Luke McCaffrey was going to be the next great white receiver? And I said, my bad. It's a Freudian slip. I meant to say Lad McConkey.
you hear McCaffrey, and you're like, okay, obviously no matter who it is, like he's got the genes, he's going to be fine.
Right.
But no, it's McConkey, McCaffrey. It's close enough.
Yeah,
Again,
very close.
white
Yeah.
slot white slot receivers, they're all the same, like literally all the same. Cooper Cup, all the same.
Alex said he's gonna lose. I don't know how much are you down by, Alex. Stroud, they're up big, so I don't know how much he's gonna throw now. But um, I'll go with my big winner. This is another one I want to call to Christian's attention. Was Mr. Bo Nix
Oregon great, Bo Nix, Oregon great.
slash
Hey,
Auburn.
Auburn alumnus.
Auburn alumnus.
Auburn made. He was Auburn made.
Yeah.
Auburn, man.
He was Auburn. He was despite Auburn, he became an Oregon great.
Hey, despite the potato famine.
Yeah. I
Uh,
no longer eat scalloped potatoes because of that.
Alex said, should I have traded CeeDee Lamb for David Montgomery? I mean, with
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb's QB situation, it depends on if you need a running back or wide receiver. I feel like Montgomery's going to score every week. So,
Yeah.
CD's and Tyreek land right now. Like with Tyreek without Tua is useless. CD without Dak, it's gonna be
Well,
tough.
his stat line so
it's
far
a
tonight is
decent
not
game tonight.
bad.
I think he's got 16 points or something. I know because I
Yeah.
need in one league, Elliott knows. He's got 18 points. He's got 8 for 93.
Mm.
Bad, not
But yeah,
bad.
want to go ahead about Bo Nix because well, I was gonna say this, but like I don't want to take your thunder, but I don't know if Bo Nix is gonna take over Rookie of the Year from Jay Daniels because I think there can be like a no. Hear me. Like why? I think just first impressions just are too many people's first impressions just set in stone. Like Jay Daniels was started hot. He did this, he did that. So I just wonder if it's just too late for him to take it over from him. But I wouldn't disagree if they
A lot
gave
of
it.
games.
I
Yeah.
just don't know if they would take it from him at this point to take it from Dane Daniels.
I hear you.
I just
And the only reason I beg to differ is because I feel like it's a what have you done for me lately type league. And especially, I think Bo Nix is in the tougher division with the Chargers and Chiefs. He should have beaten the Chiefs. And I don't know. I mean, he put the one thing about Bo Nix that I saw that I was like, he's gonna win Rookie of the Year, or he's gonna be a better quarterback out of the draft class was he was poised and he was confident. Even if he was throwing a pick, even whatever it was, he stood in the pocket and he made those throws. And I was like, eventually those are gonna click. And his arm is a lot stronger than I thought it was coming out of college. Like, I mean, it looks solid. I'm not gonna say he's Justin Herbert, but his build, like he looks solid, like a solid NFL quarterback, and he's more mobile than I think people give him credit for.
oh,
Um,
Bo is very mobile.
He's
yeah, I think,
sneaky
yeah,
athletic, man.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's sneaky
yeah.
athletic,
Yeah.
and I just think he's been what I don't want to say envision, like I drafted him, but I could see how he's being successful just because I felt like he was so accurate and
So I feel like
working.
with Bo Nix, he would be probably the most successful rookie if for any other reason that he would have had the best coach, who's
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
an offensive minded coach.
We've all harped on it from the beginning of like best quarterback versus best situation. Best situation was Bo Nix, 100%. Because Sean Payton was
No. Okay. Oh, you mean between the two?
like between the two. Yeah,
I
like
would say
like in
Caleb
terms of
Williams
scheme.
was a
We were
better.
talking
I would
we were
actually say
talking
it's better than Caleb Williams.
But
I would still say it's better
I would.
scheme
because
wise is what
look
I'm
at the
talking
head,
about.
look at the head coach. Look at like the city. I mean, Chicago and that wind, like that's not easy for a quarterback to play in. Denver, it's like thinner air, but it's easier to throw it in. And he got a better coach.
Elliott.
The
Elliott.
offensive line is not bad.
Elliott. Elliott. You're saying
What?
Chicago in the win. Brother, it is what, mid-November? It's only going to get worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
But here's the thing. What's his name?
Ron
Caleb
Thomas
Williams.
Jr.
Out of all the rookie wide receivers, would you say he has the best group of wide receivers and running backs?
Bo Nix?
No, Caleb Williams.
Oh, yeah, I would.
What about you, Elliot?
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
Because I would say, so sorry to cut in. I would say it's Caleb Williams. I would then say probably Jaden Daniels, only because he has McLaurin.
Terry and Brian
And Brand Eckler.
Yeah.
And the
So
running backs.
I mean, he's the second, but I mean, I can't tell you other than Vele. I can't tell you anybody else Bo's throwing to right now.
Well, they're using Mims.
It damn sure ain't
Hey,
Courtland.
Lil Jordan Humphrey. Lil Jordan Humphrey ain't bad.
Texas, University of Texas alum.
Literally, yeah.
But I think Bo Nix had a better coach. And actually, Denver's O line is underrated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
their defense is actually playing better than I thought they would too.
But not to like basically my point was I would agree with Bo Nix over Jane Daniels right now. I just kind of wonder, have too many people just said it in their mind as that's Jane Daniels. I just don't know.
I think right now it's now they're neck and neck, and the rest of the season will decide.
Yeah.
If one of them one of them can absolutely take the lead. And obviously, Jaden Daniels, the last two games, hasn't been as prolific as he was at the beginning. Bo Nix is now coming on strong. So if all of a sudden we've got Jaden Daniels going down and Bo Nix going up, we still got a lot of games to play. And so now, well, 2 weeks ago it was Jaden Daniels to lose, and he's started losing it the last 2 weeks. And so it's Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels, and it's whatever happens the second half of the season, who's going to win it, unless my man, the patron saint of tight ends, Brock Bowers, continues. He's going to get some votes. He's not going to win Rookie of the Year. One of the quarterbacks is going to win Rookie of the Year. Brock Bowers deserves Rookie of the Year votes.
He deserves some votes.
Well, like he needs to be. If it was the Heisman, he needs to go to New York. Like he needs to be on stage. Like
Austin, is he your winner of the week?
no, my winner of the week. We're gonna call back to my hiatus of going on a 2 week honeymoon and not seeing you guys for a month. Um, I'm gonna call back to the. This is now the era of the streaming quarterback. Streaming quarterbacks won this week again. This week in our what is our 10-team league, Warren.
Mhm.
Some available quarterbacks. Stafford had 28. Jameis Winston had 28. Tua had 24. Herbert had 24. Derek Carr just was shy of 20. So in a 10-team league, with a 10-team one quarterback league, streaming quarterbacks probably have been a top 3 quarterback every week for the past like 5 weeks. Somebody on a waiver wire has scored more than you call back what you're talking about earlier, CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud may not even be worth a start anymore if you've got one of those streaming guys. Bo Nix was in our league as a free agent until like last week.
Yep.
So in a lot of these leagues, the streaming quarterback is winning. And again, I wasn't here to cash my check against Warren where I took Jameis Winston over Russ Wilson.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston, he had a Jameis Winston week. What, like a couple 100 yards, 3 touchdowns, almost 30 points.
Oh.
That's Jameis Winston, man. Like,
And his team like kind of got destroyed, but he still put on.
yeah, like I think they scored. They only scored when he threw a touchdown, but he threw all the touchdowns and they got destroyed. And he put up 30 points. Like the streaming quarterback is the winner of this week, and they may be the winners going forward because of the underwhelming play of a lot of quarterbacks. I mean, I'm a Jaden Daniels starter after all that in the last 2 weeks. Not good.
Oh.
So you're starting to ask questions.
Yeah.
Peterson, welcome back. Well, that's a returning viewer. I remember him. Appreciate the roses. Appreciate the likes. I want to ask, speaking of Jameis Winston, and I'm gonna get to, I can't remember who asked the question. I don't feel like scrolling back up. He was asking about Kenneth Walker. I think Kenneth Walker is fine. They play San Francisco, a divisional game, but I think Walker will be fine. But going back to the Browns, every week ESPN stupidly projects Nick Chubb for like 14 points. How do you guys feel about Nick Chubb going forward? Do you think he's even worth starting?
It's bye week season. I mean, we're in bye week hell coming up. So like Chubb. I mean, I'm probably starting Rico Dowdle next week. So like, I'd take Chubb over Dowdle if you have to start him on a bye week because right now waiver running backs are just non-existent.
Yep.
So Chubb, if you got to start him, he's gonna get the work. But they're gonna get
his last 3 fantasy scores. Okay. Baltimore, he had 5.2. Chargers, he had 4.5. And the Saints, he had 5 points. That's
who on the waiver wire scored more.
Actually pathetic. The problem is, like you said, Austin, I don't believe so. At this point, I might take Jaylen Warren over Nick Chubb. Trying to think of who else. I
took a flyer on
Medicine over him.
I took a flyer on the third running back from Denver because he was Eskimi.
Man, he crapped the bed this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bonanza says, how are we feeling about Anthony Richardson against the Lions?
Ooh. He's gonna be running. I'll tell you that.
He'll be running for his life. I'll say this. Lions are probably going to destroy him. like they've been doing everybody, he may get some garbage time stats.
Well, and Anthony Richardson looked like a quarterback this week. He threw it 30 times, right?
Mhm.
And he
So, like,
scored, but he had like a QB sneak from like the one.
Yeah, and then he had the game-winning touchdown run.
so I'm okay with like garbage time 1 yard runs, but the issue with Anthony Richardson before he got benched was he was throwing it 8 times a game or like 12 times a game. And you're like, there's no way that's going to
He would
be.
have like 7 completions a game.
But if he's throwing 30, I mean, what was he, 20 for 30 or something this week? Like
I
he
can't
he
remember the
actually
exact
looked like a quarterback.
stat.
Josh Downs, I'd say Josh Downs actually really benefited him, really benefited from him this week.
Yeah.
Previously we've always said if Anthony Richardson is starting, definitely fade, your Colts receivers. Don't start, Michael Pittman. Don't
Yeah.
start, Alec Pierce. I would say Josh Downs probably had the best week that he's had maybe all season in terms of performance and what I expected from him, especially with Anthony Richardson under center.
I got a couple of questions to get to. Elliot, I'm gonna ask you this one. Joe says, should I trade Brian Thomas Jr. and Ramondre Stevenson for CD Lamb?
How long is Trevor Lawrence not throwing the ball?
I actually don't know. I kind of need to get an update on Trevor Lawrence.
Because if
So
it's Mac Jones, make that trade.
yeah. Honestly, I'd say yeah.
I
Do
would
it.
make that trade regardless.
I'd do it. Yeah.
Christian, you raise your eyebrow. Would you take CD for that?
I think I would take that trade.
Mhm.
So Stevenson had a good week this week, right?
Mhm.
So
Mm.
to a point Austin said earlier, you're going into the bye weeks, and so at least you would have two pieces over one. And we're just going to look at the performance that CD had today. Yeah, I mean, if you just look at the first half stats, it wasn't impressive. I think he had like 8 points at half, which is
Yeah.
it's fine.
It's just been slow and methodical. He's just getting his points basically out volume. Now, he made a tough catch on the sideline a second ago, but I mean, it was like 6 for 50, something like that. But he's just strictly getting it out volume because Dallas has nobody else.
Yeah.
No, I think I would take that trade solely for the fact that you're getting 2 for 1. I think they may cancel each other out of like, whatever CD's production would be, you could possibly get from those two guys, just depending on what your depth situation looks like. But
Yeah.
just my thoughts.
Could be. Now, who is this? I can't even find the question now. Someone else had a trade question about Patrick Mahomes. How do you feel about Mahomes going forward? How would you rank him top 10,
No,
top 15,
no.
top 20?
He's somewhere in that 15 to 20 range.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, that feels so weird to say, but like,
He's
I
the best
mean,
quarterback in the NFL, but we're talking about
yeah,
fantasy.
Fantasy.
So
Yeah.
like again,
yeah.
my winner of the week is the streamers, and I guarantee actually I don't know, but someone can fact check me on this. There was someone probably streaming every week that scored more than Patrick Mahomes this season.
I'm pretty sure that's
I
accurate.
mean, like I feel like it's a pretty safe bet. Like I'm going out on a limb, but if there's a streamer and probably multiple streamers that scored more than Patrick Mahomes every week, then you gotta depending on how big your league is,
No.
like you gotta go for the guys that are gonna be throwing the ball.
I'm going to be honest. I think, ooh, this is a bold take. I think I would start Drake May over Patrick Mahomes.
I don't think that's that bold.
No, I agree.
And I mean, he said like, top 15, top 20. I'm thinking he's like 18-ish, 19-ish. But
So
I mean, go ahead, Elliott. Go ahead.
I think the question is I think the question really is, who would you start Mahomes over right now? Like Bo Nix, no.
You start him over
Jameis Winston, Jameis Winston, no.
Would you
Derek
start
Carr.
I
I
mean,
would say Derek Carr.
I would start
he
him
had
over-
a good week this past week, but still,
Yeah.
just looking at past performances, I would pick him over that. But
I'd pick him over CJ Stroud.
yeah.
He's been
Let me ask you this. Would you start
even Herbert has been kind of like
Herbert's actually been okay recently.
He's
Yeah.
been good. He's like
Let
he's
me-
starting to
kind of
heat up.
Let me ask you this. Would you start Mahomes or shit, I forgot who I just said. Oh, Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels.
Jaden
Still
Daniels.
Jaden Daniels.
Even if his floor is 8 points, I mean, you know what his ceiling is. So
So context on Jaden Daniels, how healthy is he with the rib injury? Because I've never had a rib injury, but everything I've heard about him is like they take a while. Like you don't
Like,
just pop back in 2 weeks. Like
you're
it
out
takes a
there
minute.
playing.
It
You're
takes a minute
playing.
to like get it back to normal. I'm not debating that he's playing,
Yeah, I know. But
but like what like
I no, I get it. He probably is injured, or at least suffering from it.
well not 100. He's just not 100%.
Yeah. Hezzy says, oh, here's the question. He said he traded Patrick Mahomes, Smith. I don't know who Smith is. I'm assuming Devontae Smith.
Devontae.
Josh Downs and Gibbs, damn, for James Cook, AJ Brown, Trey McBride, and Jared Goff. Did I win or lose?
I think you won. That's
I
a
think
great
you won.
trade.
I think
Yeah.
he won. James Cook is good. AJ Brown's the number one.
Trey McBride,
McBride's the
he
top tight
doesn't
end in
score,
there.
but he gets
He's a target
volume.
machine. Like he's good for 10 points a week.
Yeah. Pretty
So
good.
going back to the Mahomes thing, Patrick Mahomes scored 15 and change this week. Jane Daniels scored 13 and change.
No.
So like bad, like even for a bad game, like we're talking about 2 points difference where Daniel's ceiling is twice as high as Mahomes.
Let's play a name game. Patrick Mahomes or Geno Smith.
Gino.
Gino,
Gino.
actually, I mean,
Gino has been actually a solid streamer for me this year.
he has
Uh,
actually been underrated good. Like very low key, he's been pretty good.
Giuseppe says is Jawan Jennings a solid starter. It's looked like it. Well, Kittle was out.
Yeah.
I would like to see how he plays when Kittle plays. Kind of
I
like
think
how Mike Gesicki gave me 0 points because T. Higgins came back. So,
I think
Was-
Jawan Jennings caught every target that came to him,
yeah.
which says a lot. I don't know, man. Like, and this is not a fantasy take. This is just a team take. I don't understand how you can have a guy like him on your roster and he does not consistently start. I don't
I
know.
think it's because, and this is what I was telling Jay Austin, he's a 49ers fan.
Yeah.
I told him, so if you remember back when Juju at first started with the Steelers
Yeah.
and AB was the clear number one, and Juju actually was getting like better stats than he was during the game. And that's because defenses were catering towards AB. So Juju was getting a lot of one-on-one. He was getting open space. When AB left, Juju's numbers like dipped dramatically because now he's the focal point. He's the focus. And I was telling Jay, like, you even go back to like the old Patriots, Randy Moss and Wes Welker. I mean, there was a reason there was so much open space.
Jim Rat, Wes Welker.
Yeah, you need that number one wide receiver. Now, I'm not saying Jennings can't be a number one, but I think they viewed Ayuk as this is our best route runner. He's our best X wide receiver, and we'll put Jennings and Debo in the slot and let them make plays. So I think that's kind of why or where that comes from. Just like with Seattle, like I don't see them putting JSN at the X. Like he's probably going to stay in the slot because DK is going to command so much attention.
Well, I mean, like high level shift in the league in the Patriots dynasty with the use of slot so aggressively. Like just in general, like no jokes, but like now we haven't seen like you think of the 90s where it's all the big passes on the outside the hashes. You've got the one-on-one, you got the outside, you working it out. But once the Patriots dynasty started and the slot receiver became so important, like with the McVays and the Shanahans and the scheme, like anybody who's in the slot is already going to have an advantage in the modern NFL compared to outside the hashes, unless you are a bona fide outside the numbers receiver. Because even look at CeeDee Lamb,
Yeah.
he's a stud. CeeDee's a stud, but they move him around. They put him in the slot. They put him in the like. We don't really have a ton of 100% outside the numbers receivers anymore. DK is probably one of those guys. Like,
He might be the only one.
I mean, like those guys that you only AJ Brown probably is another one of those that like is probably more outside the numbers type player. But any player that gets any kind of consistent snaps in the slot, based on the current schemes, they're going to get looks. And Jawan Jennings, like he's always in that spot, like regardless, even if he's the best player and he's in the slot, he's gonna get looks
Yep.
and he's gonna get points.
Jusabi or Juice Bay, I don't know how to pronounce it. He said one more question. Am I benching all my Dolphins? I was promised production when Tua came back. I think I'm,
Hey, before we say that, didn't crap, I'm blanking on names, man. I'm sorry, it's late. Running back. I thought he had a good game.
Achan.
Yeah,
Achan
I
and
thought
Yeah, he was
Tyreek
good.
pretty
yeah,
good.
I thought Achan had a good game.
Tyreek too. He
Yeah,
scored.
yeah. I mean, the only one that didn't, quote unquote, was Waddle. So
Maybe
like,
he has Waddle.
Hey, even Johnny Smith scored.
yeah, Donald Smith went off.
Man, nah, I wouldn't bench all my Dolphins.
Mhm.
Barefoot says Mike Tomlin is the best coach in the NFL. He's up there.
He up there. He
You
up
got
there.
Andy Reid, you got Harbaugh.
Oh,
Uh,
I put Tomlin above Harbaugh because of consistency. I mean, like, come on, man. But yeah, Andy Reid,
but you got
top
to think Harbaugh came into the league. What, isn't this his first year? And like they're 6-3,
No,
7.
John.
John Harbaugh. Oh, I meant John Harbaugh for the Chargers. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, that's Jim Harbaugh with the Chargers.
Yeah.
Oh, Jim, whichever one's with in LA that came from Michigan. This is
This
Yeah,
Jim.
isn't
yeah.
Jim. This isn't Jim Harbaugh's first year in the league. He like went to
Oh,
the like.
I meant first year with the Chargers, and he's
I know,
got
but
them at
still,
seven
he's
and
still a
three.
bona fide NFL coach. He's not like a rookie. Like he was with
I
with
mean,
the
hey, well,
49ers.
let's be honest, man. The Chargers have been good. They just had ineptitude at the head coaching
Yeah,
position, Brandon Staley. I
yeah.
mean,
It's not
Can't
like he turned. He,
let's be honest.
But
he
but
didn't turn
also
around.
too, like you
He
think they lost Keenan Allen and they lost Mike Williams, and
he
like
didn't
these
turn
And
around the
Eckler.
Jags. It's
huh?
not like he didn't turn around the Jags. Come on.
Well, yeah, but like I mean, so Warren, I tested this. I think I tested in this group. I was like, if there's two teams in the league that are known to just drop the ball, it's the Chargers and the Bengals.
And
And
they
Jim
both tried
Harbaugh,
to yesterday.
and Jim Harbaugh 7-3 without Eckler, without Allen, without Williams.
Oh,
I
Literally the
think
exact same. Like the defense went from like putrid to like the best in the league. Same players.
this
Hughes
is
Clark
not
scored.
Harbaugh hate. This is Harbaugh's top five for sure.
I would
Harbaugh's
still
top
say
five.
John's better than Jim
I'd
personally.
say I'd still take I'd like Reed and Tomlin for me. Like
I could see that. I think it's neck and neck. I don't know. I think Jim is a better coach, but that's just me.
I don't think
Shanahan,
Nick Sirianni's number
McKay.
one.
Look, I'm not a he. I don't, so tell me this: why are people so hateful of? Oh, dude, say he had Waddle and Mostert. That's why you want to
That's
be.
that's why you was mad. That's why you was mad. Okay.
Valid,
What
valid.
do people hate on Sirianni?
Because he
Like,
a clown.
is it? I mean, I don't know much about him personally.
Elliott
Like,
feels very
He's just
strongly about this.
unserious. And okay,
Yeah.
man, you got to think about this. Where did Jalen Hurts come from? He came from the
Nick
discipleship
Saban.
of Nick Saban,
Oklahoma.
and then he
Well,
came from Oklahoma. Okay, Oklahoma. I'm just saying though, if you think about the structure that he had
Yeah.
as at the head coaching position, he had Saban,
Yep.
molded him, put him there. Went to Oklahoma. Essentially, that was his development, get me ready for the NFL. He was developed. He had structure. He had a head coach that he trusted. I mean, if you've heard the reports like recently, it's like, oh, Jalen Hurts and Sirianni, they're not even talking.
yeah.
Which, to an extent, it's like, okay, well, Tom Brady and Belichick, they didn't always talk. That's fine. It worked. But I feel like Jalen is somebody who demands discipline. He demands respect, and he expects that to be given to him from his head coach.
Also, I think
Given,
Sirianni is
and it's
kind
not
of.
really.
I think
But
Sirianni's kind of benefiting from like a top three run organization. I think he's benefiting from like an
Yeah.
organization that's just great.
Oh, the
He
Eagles
is a
GM is like top notch.
Roseman,
he,
Howie Roseman, right, is the GM for
yeah.
the Eagles, and he's just like robbing people left and right. I mean, he's legit. So my take on Sirianni is more like when I rank coaches, it's more like how they handle like culture and like vibe, like in press conferences and stuff. Like Mike Tomlin and Andy Reid and Dan Campbell, we got to throw him in there.
No.
They're the top three. So I guess it would be Andy Reid, Tomlin, Campbell, Harbaugh, Shanahan, McFadden, and like these people are cool under pressure. They say the right thing every time. There's no infighting in the team that spills out. into the public. Sirianni,
Yeah, especially when you don't announce Christian McCaffrey's going to be out week 1 when you
but
need.
Sirianni has not handled himself very well in public.
I agree.
He was like chirping at his own fans
Yeah,
Yeah,
when they were winning.
yeah.
that's not
Like,
a good
what are you
Um,
look.
doing?
You've got examples in front of you. Like Sirianni, for me, it's less about the X's and O's and more about like, I just don't think he has the respect of the locker room because like how he handles himself. You're like, bro, you're a grown ass man leading a grown ass man, and you're being petty over random
yeah.
stuff.
Actually, Austin, when you said that, do you know who I actually thought of? That y'all can clown me, that's fine. I thought about Michael Scott. Michael Scott. I mean, seriously, he led an office. Okay, we've all seen the office. He led a team. Did Michael Scott do much? Heck no. But Jim, Dwight, like they were the salesmen. Phyllis, Stanley, they were the ones who did everything in the office. They had a great staff, great team around them. They had support from management, and Michael got the credit. Same thing with Nick Sirianni. I mean, he's I almost said he's a clown. He knows what he's doing, but the people around him they're gonna do all the work, watch all the film, get all the credit. But he's the head coach. He's the one that is the face of, in this reference, the face of the office.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think he's like just a dud that's just on the sideline wearing a headset and just taking. I mean, obviously he hired Shane Steichen and knew what he was doing. He hired Jonathan Gannon, who knew what he was doing. He hired Vic Fangio, he knew what he was doing. So I mean, he's know what he's doing, but at the same time, how much of that is him versus how much of that is Roseman?
Yeah.
Well, Elliott, he hired a really good offensive coordinator last offseason. People say the offensive coordinator may be the next head coach of the Cowboys.
Brian,
We'll say
what?
all those Georgia Bulldogs they drafted finally showing up.
Yeah.
Andrew says Quentin Johnston over DeAndre Swift? Question mark. I'd probably still go Swift. Football content says
Hey. Actually, no, because I think it's supposed to snow really heavily in Chicago this weekend.
Oh, well, I guess this week you could
Yeah.
probably. Well, Johnston, they're not on bye, I don't think. No, they play the Ravens, right?
The Chargers?
Well, yeah,
If it's going to snow, you want runners.
I can't remember. Yeah, that's true.
But they play for Chicago. I don't know. About
Content says Jennings or Debo rest of season. It's actually a good question. I'll probably still take Debo, but I wouldn't be mad if you chose Jennings.
That's a toss up.
Yeah.
I think it's a win-win. If you got them both, trade one.
So if I'm going to ask, and this also goes with this discussion, what is Jawan Jennings? Is he a low end wide receiver 2, or is he a steady flex? How do you all rank him?
A steady flex.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I do think some games San Francisco will probably dominate more on the run. And then also when Kittle comes back, I like to see how he is when Kittle comes back because they both.
Yeah, I was gonna say with Kittle back, McCaffrey back, and Pearsall emerging. Because don't forget about Pearsall.
One-shot survivor Ricky Pearsall.
Yeah.
Florida great.
And he did.
Jeremy says, as a Giants fan, I'm even more depressed now because I'm afraid we might beat this Cowboys team. That was good.
Let me tell you something. If you're a Giants fan, you better hope you get Shador. You better hope either you're number 1 pick or you're like 3 and the 2 teams in front of you don't take QB.
Yeah.
You also better hope Shador and Dion don't pull an Eli and Archie
Don't
Manning.
negotiate. Yeah. Don't get your ass out of New York for the Giants.
I
I
think
got
Ford
a
wants to go
question.
to Vegas, right? I think he came out and said he wanted to go to the Raiders. Why? I don't know.
Actually, I think he likes their posts on Instagram, like Vegas. I think he been commenting on them.
Yeah.
He wants to play Vegas because of Brock Bowers. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry. Cedric says I traded away Kyron Williams for Alvin Kamara. Great that
I guess that was early on in the season.
I don't know. Kyron didn't have a good game yesterday. Believe me, I know.
Both of them are streaky.
I don't know. I mean, Kamara gets catches, so I'm not gonna say that was a horrible trade, but I probably would have kept Kyron. But I will say Blake Corum started to get some work yesterday. Oh, Andrew says, so are you still going with Swift even if they are facing Minnesota? Uh, Swift gets catches. So, Christian, if they're facing Minnesota, are they in Chicago or in Minnesota?
in Chicago.
In Chicago. I need to see who Quentin Johnston's playing.
I'd say I'd say Swift.
I'll
I
take a
would
running back.
still go Swift.
I'll take a running back in the snow every day, not only for the run, but for the dump off passes. I mean, like Swift, he could be a sneaky good play in the sense of he may only get like 50 yards rushing because it's snow, but he may get 8 targets and 6 catches because of
I,
Baltimore.
I don't disagree with your point. The only thing I would say is also you have Caleb Williams who holds on to the ball for a while, but you also have that Chicago Bears offensive line. If it does turn into a snow game where he's gonna have to run the ball up the middle of time, and I don't know.
well,
He may
I,
not last.
I may be trying to be like too big brain and don't listen to me because again, I'm going to lose this week to Warren because he had 3 people
I
scored.
wasn't gonna bring it up.
I'm going to bring it up because anyone would have lost to three. You had Saquon, Puka, and Cup. Three players scored 90 points.
Yeah.
I'm just going to lose. That's fine. I have no hate for that. But the incompetent offensive line, Christian, if I'm trying to be too big brain at 2-8, is if the offensive line's bad, there's more dump offs. There's more dump offs. Like logistically, it may be again 48 yards, 55 yards rushing, 8 targets, 6 catches for 30 yards, maybe a garbage time touchdown there. So like Swift for 12 to 15 points, and Quentin Johnson could go for 3. Like I feel like Swift has the higher floor.
Yeah.
Johnson has the higher ceiling.
Yeah.
But don't listen to me. I'm too angry.
Yeah.
Oh. Let me see. I thought I saw another question. Oh, yeah, there you go, Andrew. So we might go with Swift there. Hang on. Where did it go? Crap, I didn't see it. But the Chargers do play Baltimore next week. Christian, I will not sit Lad McConkey. Would you play Lad McConkey next week versus Baltimore?
Yeah. So and man, I'm eating my words here, but I've looked at my lineup for next week. I don't know why. I'm a weirdo where I look at my next week lineup on Mondays. Um, yeah, I mean, if I just look at the ESPN projection, I think he has a double-digit point total, which is good. But also, I think he's proven, hey, he's gonna get the ball. It may not be, I'll give you a stat line. It may not. It may be like 8 for 46. That's fine, but he's still getting volume. This past week, obviously, he went off. He had 10 for what was it, like 123 or something. I think as long as he shows that he is reliable and he can catch and he's going to be a volume guy, I think you have to start him. For me, I still rate him as a low end wide receiver 2 or a flex because we only have 1, 2 in the flex spot. So for me, he's still going to stay in that flex position, but I think you have to start him just based on the last 2 weeks alone.
Well, I feel like you guys need to pray to whatever deity you believe in for me, because I may start next week Zay Flowers and Lad McConkey. So I may score 0.5 points or I may score 100 points. And I will probably score 0.5 points.
Well,
So
they're playing each other.
yeah, I know that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
so you'll be watching that game. You'll be watching that game just mad. You'll just be mad watching that
I'm
game.
trying to find an excuse not to have that lineup. Like I'm hoping I end up not having that lineup. But like anyone who has watched us before my hiatus for the honeymoon and or the YouTube clips that 20 people have watched, my Zay Flowers hate is aggressive. But every time I start him, he scores single digits, and every time I don't, he's a top 5 wide receiver. So
And
I'm
Andrew, I see your question. Austin, I just want to say, Elliott and Christian, y'all not in this league, but Austin played Zay Flowers against me.
and he scored the most of my wide receivers. He was my highest scoring. He scored
Oh,
more than wide receiver
man.
2 and flex.
Yeah.
Tillman, I started Tillman. He did garbage after blowing up for Cleveland as a Jameis believer. And then I started. Who else did I start? Again, bye week hell. Um, yeah, Zay
I'll
Flowers
look it
was
up.
my leading scorer for.
You started Garrett Wilson, and Cedric Tillman, who was ass. So,
Yeah,
I feel like everybody on Cleveland had a good game except Cedric Tillman.
yeah. Jerry Judy went bananas.
Edie,
Like,
Njoku, and I think it was another wide receiver that I'm drawing a blank right now that had a decent game.
The guy who came over from the Jets.
Elijah Moore.
yeah,
Yeah.
Everybody had a good game, but Tillman.
yeah. So the Tillman era may be dead in Cleveland.
I wouldn't go that
Yeah. I just feel the need to say this because I just saw that he scored another touchdown. I'm so proud of me for drafting Joe Mixon.
far.
I'm so happy. I don't know how the scoring is in your format, but he's got me 34.3 points. I'm so grateful.
Yeah. Andrew says, sorry, Andrew. Bo Nix over Sam Darnold. Yes. I'm on the Bo Nix train. And I think Darnold has who? Chicago next week, right? Good defense. Nate says, is this a good trade? I am trading away CD and I'm getting Kenneth Walker and Ramondre Stevenson, 2 running backs.
If you have no running backs, maybe.
I would probably keep CD, but
Keep
if
it.
you need a running back, hey
I'm
man.
gonna assume that person need a running back.
Yeah,
mean,
I would think.
I mean, CD and Kenneth Walker's been a little frustrating, but I think they're both pretty steady.
No.
And
So my only
with Lamb, you're basically just even though tonight he played good with Lamb, you're basically gambling on his ceiling being pretty much cut in half without Dak. What you about to say, Christian?
No, I was going to say, I think that we've really seen this year, this goes to this take. I think we've really seen this year that it's mostly been a dominant running back league, where in years past, it's been a wide receiver and your 1, 2, and your flex spot. They're probably the ones leading your matchups. I feel like this year is really flipped. And so maybe even Ramondre's probably me a flex, but having Kenneth Walker, having him be your running back 1 or 2, man, I think that's actually a good trade-off.
Nate,
I
hold on.
think
So
you have some decent some decent receivers in your
that trade, he
running back.
says he has Puka, Mike Evans, who's injured, AJ Brown, and JSN. So he's trading.
Yeah,
And he says his running backs are Tyrone Tracy, James Cook, and Brian Robinson. Or it says B Rob. I don't know if it's Brian Robinson or Bijan, but I'm assuming Brian Robinson.
That's a pretty big roster, unless he's talking about bench spots too.
That's what I'm like. I'm like, man, I may trade for a good tight end or something. But I mean,
I'm not mad at it. I mean, if you don't trust your running backs,
yeah.
Christian, wait a minute. Did you just say you trade for a tight end? You were the tight end streaming guy. You went on a rant like 3 weeks ago.
No. I'm only saying this for his roster.
Yeah.
That's a really good roster.
Yeah.
Ross Boy Johnny says CD won me my matchup by 1 point after experts telling me to sit him. Congrats. I needed CD too. He actually won me my matchup by 4 points. Bo Nix did everything he could to ruin my week. Z Nag says I won by 15. I hate Joe Mixon. Why do you hate Joe Mixon?
Yeah, you won. You won. Okay.
Warren beat me the first game of the season by 0.5. Like, it's a win.
It's some players I just don't hate, even if they go out. Joe Mixon is one of them. Bijan Robinson is another one. Drake London.
Did we like misread what he said? Like what? Like
it literally says, shoot, I lost it now.
No, it was I won by 15. I hate Joe Mixon.
He says I won by 15. I hate Joe Mixon.
Maybe it's two concepts. I won, yay. Side note, personally, I hate Joe Mixon.
Unless
he was up a lot and Joe Mixon made him like have a heart attack.
15
or if he bet the under on Joe Mixon.
Yeah, that could be it.
And
too.
I would hate Joe Mixon too.
Yeah.
I'll take a couple more. Hub Boy says, should I trade Kareem Hunt and Tyreek Hill? Well, it says Hill. I'm assuming it's not Taysom, but he says trade Hunt and Hill for Drake London and Metcalf, as in he gets London and Metcalf. Yeah, I would do that trade.
Mm. Um,
Warren, are you saying you're taking that trade only because you don't want to have Tyreek Hill?
No, I'm taking that trade because I don't know how great Kareem Hunt's going to be the rest of the season.
so apparently Pacheco is going to be able to come back soon. I
That's
thought I thought he was done.
He's coming back within the next week or two.
Yeah, I would take that.
I thought Pacheco was done.
Now, I will say I don't think Pacheco's going to come back and they're just going to bench Kareem Hunt.
Right.
But London and Metcalf are number ones on their team, and I think Darnell Mooney got hurt. I'm not sure how serious, but
Yeah. Now
um,
London's off next week. I don't know if that matters to you.
yeah. Adam says Brian Robinson for Jaden Reed. I have Jacobs, Montgomery, and CMC. Yeah, I would
Yeah,
do that.
I would take that.
I would do that, especially if you need a receiver. E. Diggle says, y'all, I needed one more Dallas field goal to win 200 points. Why the F would they take the first down and not the points? I took that same pick, that 1.5 field goals made. And yeah, I understand.
Didn't Aubrey also miss one
He
earlier?
did. He
Yeah.
did. That one hurt too. God, that hurt. Um, they were down 10 and they had a 4th and 2 like inside the 10. And I was like, oh,
And
they'll
at
kick
that point, you should have kicked it.
and make it a 1 possession game, but they went for it.
Yeah.
Screw me
Well,
too,
yeah.
Deacon.
RC as head coach. So.
If I was an NFL coach, I'd be like, don't bring me no analytics. Just don't. No, I don't. No.
Hey, Elliott, you see that clip of John Gruden when he was like, I got the analytics guy in my ear and say, hey, coach, the analytics say you should go for it. It's a great clip.
Botillo says I was down by almost 80 before Sunday night, but I had Burrow, Chase, Mixon brought me back. That's a hell of a lineup. Riz Dad. Oh, here you go. Is it time to trade Stroud or Daniels?
I would
If you
can get anything for Stroud, sure. But
Stroud,
like
I would.
Daniels,
Daniels.
if you're just tuning in, it is the year of the streaming quarterback. Someone, unless you're in a 15 team 2 quarterback league, a streamer is going to score you almost 20, 25, 30 points a week. Stroud, trade him, get anything for Stroud. Daniels, not yet.
So as a CJ Stroud owner, and so I have Jane Daniels and CJ Stroud. I'm not trading Jane Daniels. I think this is more so just a lull. Elliott said it earlier. I mean, he's hurt, and so I think really until they have a little bit of a rest or maybe kind of like an off period,
Yeah.
he's going to keep being what he is. But I have no idea what I can get for CJ Stroud, especially right now. Austin, you said it. I mean, I've tried to shop him around the last few weeks. Why would they take CJ Stroud when they can get somebody off waivers that can probably get them equal or more points than CJ Stroud? So to your point, man, I'm probably gonna have to just drop CJ Stroud and just pick up another streaming quarterback because if I need a quarterback, get one off of waivers. If not, that's a roster spot. You can add another running back if they're out there, or add another a tight end, another receiver. I think Stroud is not really going to help you with that roster spot that he's taking up.
Yeah. Miguel says, where'd it go? AJ Brown and Dobbins for Tyreek, Puka, and Jaden Reed. I would probably take Hill, Puka, and Reed. He said he has Mixon and Taylor at running back. Yeah, I would do that trade.
Yeah.
SR16 says, wait, somebody had a Anthony Richardson question. They said they got Joe Burrow on bye week next week. Is it safe to start Anthony Richardson?
I don't know about
What are the-
safe. It depends on who's
Where do the Colts play?
They
But
play Detroit.
they play Detroit. I wouldn't mind it. He's probably gonna have to score points.
I'd take Jameis over him if he's in your league.
He was available. Now, Jameis is somebody that I was like, man, that's a good streamer. Now, I don't know if this is something that matters to y'all, but his next 2 opponents are Pittsburgh and Denver, and that's got to be the top 5 defenses. 2 of them
Yeah, I
right
probably
now.
wouldn't do
He's
it.
gonna have to pass the ball, man. He's gonna. I mean, Warren, you said it. Nick Chubb, I don't run the ball with him. They're gonna have to pass.
It'll be a Jameis game where it's 350 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and they lose by 30.
Flip
Like,
it. Two,
that's
no,
fantasy
no.
points. Like,
Flip it. 2 touchdowns, Four
Four
interceptions.
interceptions. There you go.
Got LASIK. He got LASIK. He can see people down the field now. I'm a believer in Jameis.
SR16 says I just moved Keenan Allen. I ain't know people had him rostered. Keenan Allen and Evan Ingram for Tony Pollard and Jacoby Myers. Good move or
That's
not?
a deep league.
I
That's
like
definitely
it.
a deep
Gotta
league.
be.
I would take Pollard over the other two
I
guys,
take
and I
Pollard.
think Myers is solid. Mason Clark says, "Do I give up Kamara to get Mixon?" Yeah.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
would you drop Stroud for Justin Herbert or Darnold? Hell yeah, I dropped for
Either.
Herbert
Yeah.
for sure. Um, Anthony says, "Should I trade Kyron?"
For what?
I mean, if you're getting Jamar Chase, yeah, but I don't know too many running backs that are going to be better than Kyron Williams. That are going to be that people actually do that trade.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
that's the thing.
so I don't know. I'll probably hold on to Kyron. Kyle, I think Kyle's been on our stream before. Elliott, he says, should I trade Kenneth Walker for CeeDee Lamb? My running backs are HN and Brees. HN and Brees.
But I'd say yeah. I'm assuming your receivers
All
are
right,
could use some help, I guess. But I'd say yeah.
yeah. Maxwell. He says Saquon and Khalil Shakir for Jacoby Myers, Montgomery, Puka, and Jaden Reed. I'm trying to fleece bro since he's 3-12. But nah, the commissioner gotta end that one.
Come on, man. Don't do that. Don't do him like that, man. Come on now.
Um, Riz
You make,
Dash.
You make my vein
Austin, would
pump
you
out
take
right
that
here.
trade?
I know, huh?
Would you take that trade?
I'd take it, but I'd beat it with the next day if I was the commissioner.
Yeah. But as commissioner, I would have to veto that. I'm sorry. Riz said, would you start Kareem Hunt for one more week? Yeah, why not?
Just depends on Pacheco.
See how it goes. Um, oh, he says Kyron's been mid last 3 weeks. That's why I was just questioning him.
Fair, but it just depends on for who and what and trends.
I think I'm not gonna say every player, but most players go through that little phase because even Joe Burrow had mid games versus the Giants.
No,
Um,
you made the statement a couple weeks ago before I
yeah,
left of like
like I
is
was
Joe
like,
Burrow
damn, like what
washed?
is going on?
Like
So yeah, I remember I asked Elliott. I said, Elliott, would you drop Joe Burrow for who did I say? Stafford, Elliott,
You said Stafford, and God, who else you say? Dang it.
Flacco when they played Minnesota
Did you also say about Darnold too?
and Darnold, yeah, because they
Yeah.
played each other. Vikings,
Yeah.
Colts, I think.
Yeah, I think I told you to stick with
You told me
Burrow.
to stick with Burrow.
That's in my fantasy in general. Like, think about it. It don't matter unless it's like Calvin Johnson in 2011 or Cooper Cup in 2021. Like every player is a human, and even if they're elite, they're gonna have that lull where it's like, man, he was only did single digits 2 weeks in a row. Like, what's going on? Like every week's not gonna be elite for every player. There's
Right.
only a handful of people they're gonna give you like 20 points out the gate no matter what. So like I think the mentality of like, oh, he was bad last week and the week before, I got to get rid of him. Like that's just immature. Like that's panicking.
well, and I think like it's the disconnect between the good football player and good fantasy score is
Yeah,
like you're like, hey, do you want to start your franchise with Joe Burrow or Joe Flacco? You're like now, like there's literally no question of Joe Burrow's quality as a quarterback. So
Right.
a lot of the trend and like great quarterbacks that are underperforming are
Yeah.
really good opportunities for them to catch up. Like they're gonna meet their potential if you believe in them as quarterback. Not great quarterbacks succeeding in fantasy are perfect for regression. Whereas great quarterbacks who are underperforming are good for progression. So it's the buy low, sell high of the streaming quarterback versus the like Joe Burrow with Jamar Chase. I don't care who you are. If he puts up 5 points for 5 weeks, I don't like he's going to get it together. Now that's gonna make shit your bed for fantasy for the year, but like as a football team, you like he's gonna figure it out. But in fantasy, that's not what it's about. Again, I'm gonna be 2-8 and my season's over.
Anthony says Jonnu Smith thoughts. I would have to see it again.
So hang on. So I needed a tight end in a league last week. So what did I do?
Stretch your shoulder.
Let
I
me pick
feel it.
up Johnny Smith.
I feel it.
He was absolutely terrible last week. So I dropped him. He went off this week.
Way to go, Christian.
Way to go.
Welcome to the Zay Flowers Club.
No,
Yeah.
I think he has value because I mean, Tua has shown that he trusts him, and he does get targets in the red zone. It's just, I mean, he's a tight end, so there could be weeks where he gets you 4 points. Could be weeks this week where I say he goes off, but I mean he had a touchdown catch and some other receptions. So it's just a tight end. He's not a top tier tight end. He's not going to be a steady, reliable source. But when he goes off and he does well, you'll benefit from it. So I think the question is, should I start him? If you don't have anybody else, start him. Why not? But just know that's probably going to be the situation you're in.
Tight ends are one of the few positions that's really hard to predict streaming booms. I mean, like you can think of good position like situations and rookie quarterbacks using tight ends and that kind of stuff, but like predicting a 20 plus week for a tight end that's not Brock Bowers this year, you're just kind of like throw a dart against the wall.
And like with tight ends, like is also like, at least on ESPN, they'll show you like this defense is not good against this position. Even if it's a defense that's typically bad against tight ends, you still don't know. Like you just don't know.
Garrett says, is Aaron Jones a panic? I wouldn't say panic.
He's still the clear lead back.
Yeah, I would say
Any running back that is the lead back, you cannot panic on in the league today because half of the league or more is a running back by committee.
Yep.
But I think it just helps them having Cam Akers. I mean, what did he have? Like, 27 rushing yards?
I think so. I know he scored, but I can't remember that.
Yeah, he scored off the pass, but I mean, I don't think he had a ton of rushing yards. So
yeah,
I think it's nice where it's Cam Akers and it's Aaron Jones, but I think if you're looking for at least a running back, it's still going to be Aaron Jones.
Jones had 15 rushes. Akers had 10.
Okay.
That's more of a split than usual.
But like, what I think is happening, and other teams might start doing it. I forgot who asked this question. Garrett. I think Minnesota is kind of creeping on that edge of we're more than likely going to make the playoffs. So let's start using some of our backup running backs to save the health of our starter. I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans started to do that with Joe Mixon. Who's this? Lakin says CeeDee Lamb and Brian Thomas Jr. for Nico Collins and Tyreek.
Nope.
So you get Nico and you get Tyreek.
Yeah,
I would do it.
I wouldn't.
I do it. Yeah, I do it.
I think Brian Thomas, and I have him, which upsets me, but I think it's not good right now because Lawrence is hurt, and even Mac Jones isn't doing much. Nico Collins looked fine tonight. He had a big touchdown call back.
First play of the game.
Yeah, first play of the game. And I think Tyreek's not going to be what he was last year, but I think he's going to steadily be better as weeks go on.
Yeah.
And with CeeDee Lamb with the backup QB, you just don't know.
Yeah.
And same the point you made about the Vikings as they get close to the playoffs, they may change how they play. It's always tough when teams that are not going to make the playoffs because you never know how they're going to play the season. Are they going to just like open the bag and say, everybody go play, let's just go play? Or are they going to start? Are some people going to just kind of pull back? Like you never know how teams are going to handle it.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll harp in as a Brian Thomas owner. Like he's on ESPN like standard PPR, he scored 13.6 points this week. And like I would keep CeeDee and Brian Thomas just because of like yes, they're bad quarterbacks, but like the Gabe Davis is out, so Brian Thomas is going to get more looks. CeeDee is number one hands down target share for that team no matter what. So like
yeah. I'll just go with a couple of more questions here. So next week you got Joe Burrow and Josh Allen on bye. Who are some streaming quarterbacks you guys would entertain? Right off the bat, that I can think of. Um, Drake May, but no, he's got Miami. Um, Dang, Derek Carr's on by. I would say Gino. He's got Arizona. Um, Anthony Richardson. He's got Detroit. It's a good defense, but they might have to throw. Kyler
Stafford's
Murray
on
has Murray's not going to be a streamer.
Stafford's on a lot of waiver wires, but how much do you put faith in Philly's defense?
A lot.
Been pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, Minshew's on waivers with ours, and I'll be honest, I usually don't say Connor Minshew at all on this podcast. But he had almost 18 points. He had almost 18 points today.
Yeah.
But next week they play Denver.
Yeah.
Did you say Tino Warren?
Yeah, he's got Arizona. It's a lot of tough quarterbacks because Cousins is on by, Aaron Rodgers on by, Joe Burrow, and Josh Allen.
Yeah.
And then the streamers that you would think, Russell Wilson has Cleveland, Drake May.
Sam Donald's got Chicago, and if it's gonna snow,
Yep.
Dennis
Wentz
has
got the
Pittsburgh.
Steelers. Derek Carr's on by. Like, I would say the best streamer would probably be Anthony Richardson if he was dropped.
Okay, hey, let me ask you all this. If you're looking for a quarterback next week with like you just said, it's really tough to find one on waivers. Would you take a chance and go with DeVito?
He's got the Bucks, so I would be okay with that.
Yeah. And I only say that because, I mean, we've seen what the offense looks like when they have Daniel Jones. Maybe they just need somebody who is capable at the quarterback position. And, I mean, dude, if he can just take care of the ball, I feel like that's half the battle. Maybe he's worth a shot.
I mean, typically, first of all, the Giants are coming off a bye week, and backup quarterbacks, even if it's only for like 2 quarters, they do tend to come out with like a
ball.
fire, you know.
Just throw it to Malik Neighbors. Should be easy.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but it's a couple more here. But guys, we're going to try and end it here.
I
Apologize.
never did tell you who my winner was.
Oh, well, who was your winner?
I was going to say T. Higgins. Welcome back.
That's a good one.
9 for 148 and touchdown.
Now, I will say, welcome back to Higgins, and see you later, Mike Gesicki.
Mm-hmm.
He was awful. I don't even want to. I started him. He got me 0 point. It was so bad. I forgot I even had him in the lineup. Like, honestly, watching the game, I literally forgot he was in the lineup. And I was looking at me and Austin score because I was looking to talk some crap. And I was like, wait, I didn't even remember I had Gesicki. So
Yeah. I no sympathy because 3 players scored 90 points for you. You scored 150 something points. You can't be like, oh,
Puka
I
and
had someone score 0 whenever I had 3 players scored 90 points.
Yeah. But
Elliott, this is the shout out to what you and I were talking about very early on. Go back, all the streamers, watch our YouTube videos where Elliott and I were talking about like some weeks you just in fantasy you just lose. Like you're gonna lose. I don't think I had enough points on my bench. Like if I could have unlimited substitutes and put all the points in, I'm not scoring 157 points to beat Warren this week.
Yeah.
Some weeks you just lose. Like I can't
one of those weeks.
get mad at it. Like I'm not putting up those points. The weeks that I score 140 and lose, those suck. But this is a week where Warren scores 157 points.
Yeah.
Can't get mad. Literally nothing I could have done.
I think even my kicker had like 12 points.
Doesn't matter. 3 players scored 90, Warren. I don't care. Like
happy trails to Justin Tucker.
Well, yeah. Take your money and retire. But appreciate you guys being here. We're gonna end the stream here. Maybe on Thursday, depending on how life goes for the Thursday night game. Who is the Thursday night game? It was a game that I wasn't.
Oh, it was not a good game.
It was Cleveland. No, it's not Cleveland, was it? Frack. Who's the Thursday game?
This week is loading.
Let me see.
It's Cleveland and Pittsburgh.
We might be back Thursday. If not, it'll be Sunday. But we'll see. Austin's Jameis Winston might come through. So
this is the week. in person where I beat you with Jameis Winston over Russ Wilson.
Russell Wilson,
Like
I agree.
this is the
Hey,
head-to-head where
I
can
will
take
say, just looking at the next Thursday night football games, okay, there's one that I think is a clunker, but all right, so Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Next week, it's not Thursday night, it's a Friday game, but it's Vegas at the Chiefs. After that, man, we've got some good games. Green Bay at Detroit, Rams at the 49ers, Cleveland at Cincinnati, and then ending the season with a clunker, Seattle and Chicago. But
Not be that bad. Seattle, Chicago.
Well,
Yeah.
the Thanksgiving, everyone just have a late lunch because Bears Lions will be interesting. Lions can destroy them. But the Giants Cowboys at 3:30, just that's when you need to do your Thanksgiving. Do your Thanksgiving.
DeVito.
What's the Sunday night game on Thanksgiving Day?
Uh,
On Thanksgiving Day?
Yeah, usually it's like a third game, right?
Dolphins Packers.
Oh.
So Thanksgiving is Bears Lions, Giants Cowboys, Dolphins Packers.
Dolphins.
Man,
so
honestly, even the
we have
even the
games
Bears.
next week on Monday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, and then college rivalry week is Saturday.
Oh, which by the way, we probably need to do a when it gets closer to time, the college football playoff.
Yeah,
So,
we should.
I've been harping on doing college football for my hot takes on random ass teams, especially in the Big 12. But
you just let me know when you are ready, sir.
Yeah.
Hey,
Before we get out of
words
here,
of Deion Sanders, we coming.
Jake, thoughts on Kamara rest of the season? Think he'll be fine, especially with his catches. So appreciate you guys. We will see you later this week, and appreciate you guys for showing up as always on this late Monday night. And I hope you guys have a good rest of the week and sleep well. Peace.